Hello. Thank you for joining us for today's ISEP pre-departure orientation for our programs in Belgium and the Netherlands. My name is Kiamani Gaskins, and I'm the ISEP Student Services Officer for our programs in Belgium and the Netherlands. I'm excited to share with you today lots of interesting and useful information to help you prepare for your time abroad. For our agenda, we'll be covering Belgian and Dutch culture and daily life, academic matters, health and safety guidance, and some important tips to know before you go, and also tips on how to stay connected with ISEP throughout your experience. First, let's discuss life in Belgium and the Netherlands. Life in Belgium and the Netherlands can be extremely different from life in your own home country. Still, I encourage you to do your own research ahead of time. This presentation can only give you a glimpse into Belgian and Dutch life and culture, but once you're there, you may be able to see it more clearly for yourself. In Belgium, there are three official languages: Dutch, French, and German. But English is widely spoken, especially in well-populated areas, including in Brussels. The country is split geographically and linguistically into Flanders in the northern half of the country, Wallonia in the southern half, and the capital of Brussels, which sits in the center of the country, but primarily in the Flemish region. Catholic culture and values are very prominent across the country, but most Belgians are non-practicing in the faith. When greeting people, it's customary to shake hands with someone you'll often meet with for the first time. And when you're close with someone, your close friends, they'll often greet you with an air kiss to the side of your cheek. If you're ever unsure which greeting to give a person, just wait for them to initiate and follow their lead. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, the official language is Dutch, but English is also widely spoken. It's one of the most densely populated countries in Europe, and Dutch people have a reputation for being very direct in how they address and communicate with other people. They also highly value punctuality and sticking to schedules. If you're ever invited to an event or party, do your best to arrive on time. The biking and cycling culture is also huge, and you may see many cyclists around Amsterdam and other parts of the country riding in the streets or close to the canals. Just like cyclists, you'll also see the Dutch flag everywhere, waving outside of windows and atop monuments, symbolizing the Dutch struggle for independence, bravery, and resilience of the Dutch people. There are a few different types of housing available for each program, so be sure to review the information in your ISEP student dashboard so you'll know what to expect for your specific program. In Belgium, students may either opt for a home stay with a host family or to stay in a student apartment off campus in a single or shared room. Host families are selected and vetted by the staff at Brussels School of Governance. We recommend asking your host family if there is anything you need to bring from home. Please inform your host family if you have any dietary restrictions, as some meals with your host family are included in your ISEP program benefits. Also, plan to inform your host family when you'll miss meals or if you plan to travel over the weekend so they can prepare in advance. Lastly, please be respectful of your host family and their belongings as you are a guest in their home. Alternatively, students going to Brussels can opt to live in a single room or in a single or shared off-campus apartment. Each apartment has ensuite bathrooms and a shared kitchenette, and there's a laundry facility in the apartment building. The apartment is also within a 30-minute commute to Biesog via public transportation. In the Netherlands, different types of housing include single rooms in a shared apartment, private studios, or a shared room in an apartment. Most of these places are already furnished with a bed, desk, wardrobe, and other furniture and appliances in the living, shared, and kitchen spaces. If you have questions about the layout or features of your program's housing, please ask your student services officer or your host ISEP coordinators for more details. For those wondering what to do about phones while they're abroad, first we recommend checking with your phone provider at your home region, your home university, or excuse me, with your phone provider at your home country about their international plan offerings. You may want to consider purchasing a SIM card and a plan from a Dutch or a Belgian phone company or an eSIM card online. Again, if you'll be staying in a university dorm or local apartment building, check with your building staff about internet availability. You may have a restricted amount of data, or you'll need to connect your devices to an Ethernet cable when connecting to Wi Fi in your building. You may even need to make sure you connect to Wi Fi by logging in using your student credentials at your host university whenever you're on campus or if you're staying in housing that is on campus. Lastly, note that it's fairly common to find free Wi-Fi spots throughout the more largely populated cities. The euro is the official currency in Belgium and the Netherlands. If your host university distributes a stipend check to you throughout your program, you may need to open a local bank account, or some hosts will permit you to open an online bank account through apps like Wise or Revolut. Please ask your specific host university coordinator for their recommendations on opening a bank account in your host country to receive your stipend. Please keep in mind that opening a Belgian or a Dutch bank account can be a lengthy process for international students, so you will need to follow all instructions given by your host coordinators and open your account as soon as you are giving these instructions. Because it often takes time to open an account and receive your first stipend payment, we recommend bringing enough money to pay for your initial expenses in the country for the first 3 to 4 weeks until you can receive your first check. Lastly, it's always a good idea to carry a small amount of cash on you, as not every local business, restaurant, or shop you visit will accept a card. Also, be prepared for major credit cards to not be accepted at some smaller stores or supermarkets, especially in the Netherlands. Again, be sure to have some cash on you, or you can use a Dutch or Belgian debit card in the country if you open a local bank account there. Now to discuss meals and dining while abroad. When eating at restaurants, know that tipping is not normally necessary in Europe. In terms of grocery shopping, people usually buy groceries every few days rather than buying in bulk for the next week or two. You may find that doing this helps you to cut down on food or produce that goes bad during the week if you don't eat it in time. Groceries are also less expensive overall in Belgium and the Netherlands. And in your program's housing, you may have or you should have access to cooking facilities, but you may need to provide your own cooking utensils like pans, pots, and dishware. A pro tip, if you're staying in a university residence hall, please ask the building or housekeeping staff if there are any cookware or dishware left behind by previous international students that you may borrow during your time abroad. Whether you have food allergies, food intolerances, or any dietary restrictions, know that most dietary accommodations can be met overall in Belgium and the Netherlands. Also, don't forget to shop at local markets for items you may not find at a larger grocery store. You may develop a favorite local store or outdoor market to purchase fresh food, baked goods, and other unique items. Belgian and Dutch cuisine is amazing and differs region to region. So I hope you'll get to try some traditional staples in each country. Definitely try the French fries in Belgium, It is where they originate, of course. Belgium is also known for its tasty waffles, Belgian chocolate, mussels, and assortment of beers. Meanwhile, Netherlands is known for their cheeses like Gouda and also a dish called stampot, which translates to mashed pot. The dish typically contains mashed potatoes and other vegetables and is popular also to add sausage or fried bacon to it as well. Belgians are also known for their passion for sports. They're very proud of their football or soccer team, the Belgian Red Devils. Try to check out one of their games while you're in the country. Or to get active, you can check out your host university sport clubs or services with your host coordinators. These sometimes are offered to international students at a discounted price, but please note that they may not be included in your ISEP fees. Also, take advantage of the sporting and outdoor events and trips organized by your international office. Lastly, Erasmus Student Network is very active in many European countries like Belgium and the Netherlands, and sponsors and organizes gatherings and events and trips on and off campus all year round for students to participate in. So please check out your local campus chapter when you get a chance. Here are some major holidays to look out for in Belgium. Like most other countries around the world, Belgium observes Labor Day on May 1st. Whit Monday, or Holy Spirit Monday, is usually observed the day after Pentecost. And Belgian national holiday is on July 21st. Across the country, you may see many celebratory events like parades, concerts, family activities in the parks, and fireworks shows. This is very similar to how Independence Day is celebrated in many countries around the world. The Netherlands is also known to have many national holidays. For example, King's Day is on April 27th, and it's a national celebration of the Dutch King's birthday, with many festivities around the country, and usually everyone on this day wears orange. Belgium and Netherlands both observe Christmas Day as well, so be sure to check out any of the Christmas markets available in both countries, which are generally open throughout the entire month of December. Let's take a moment to discuss culture shock, as it's likely that everyone will experience it at some point in their study abroad journey. You will experience a range of emotions during and after studying abroad. Keep in mind that initial disorientation is a normal part of adjusting to a new culture. While it may be challenging, culture shock can actually be a growth process that increases your understanding of your host culture and of yourself. One of the most effective strategies to mitigate culture shock is to prepare yourself. The more you know about what to expect, the more comfortable you may be. A few tips that we like to offer to keep in mind. One, think to yourself, it's not wrong or right, it's just different from what I'm used to. Remember that no one can change or influence an entire culture overnight. Lastly, if things become too overwhelming, try to journal your experience. And then reread your journal entries later on to see what you may have learned since then. I also want to take a moment to read a reflection from a past ISEP student. Feel free to read these reflections for additional encouragement. One student shared, the key to my experience was to be flexible and adaptable. It's important to take responsibility for my actions and to not have many expectations on what my experience will be. I learned so much more by being adaptable and exploring outside of the university as well. Always say yes to a new experience if you feel somewhat drawn to do so. While it's important to take rest days, I learned how to take care of myself by finding hobbies and things to do outside of staying at home and doing nothing. Now to discuss academics in the two countries. Keep in mind that you can find this information in our Belgium and Netherlands country handbooks on our website. Teaching and grading styles in Belgium and Netherlands differ amongst institutions, academic subjects, and even instructors. Professors and instructors can offer less guidance to students than you're used to in other countries, and individualized learning is often more emphasized. This means that there's often a large amount of reading students complete outside of class, and they can study and prepare hard for exams. Many courses will have an important final exam that may be weighted highly and will determine a large portion of your course grade. Some institutions may have fewer student services than what you're used to. This could mean fewer study or writing centers or other common academic support services. If you're curious about the support services available at your host institution, please ask your student services officer or your host university coordinator. Also note that local students often enroll in a set program of study and usually don't experience a great deal of flexibility in the courses they can choose to take from semester to semester. They follow a highly structured curriculum specific to their degree and do not take liberal arts or general education requirements like most US students do. Also, at the end of each year, local students must pass a set of required exams before they can move on to the next year's program. You may find that your academic experience at these institutions will vary differently, especially when selecting courses. You may not have the same set courses that you can take in a particular semester when you study at your host institution. So be sure to ask your student services officer and your host university coordinators more information about the types of courses you can enroll in during your time abroad. Most institutions in Europe use the ECTS or the European Credit Transfer System. In this system, students generally take 24 to 30 ECTS credits per semester, which roughly equates to 12 to 15 US credits. It's your responsibility to know the transfer requirements for course credits of your home university. Please note that you must attend your courses and be punctual, as your attendance record can impact your final grade. Unless you're very sick or injured, please try to attend your courses. And even in cases where you're sick and injured, you may still need to submit documentation for excused absences. Class participation is expected, and you should complete all assignments, not just the final exam. We also recommend you save all course materials, as you never know when you may need them, including after your program concludes. Course registration methods may vary, so please be sure to follow your host university's directions carefully to make sure you're enrolled in your courses properly. Note that the courses you wish to take may need to be adjusted upon arrival to your host university, so we encourage you to keep an open mind and keep your course options open. As course selections are finalized, please be sure to check with your professors that you are on their class lists, and contact your academic advisors at your home university to make sure you will be able to earn credit and you are enrolled in the minimum number of credits required by your home university. Lastly, don't forget to submit any required learning agreement or course registration forms to your host university coordinator. Let's focus on our host institution in Belgium, the Brussels School of Governance. This institution is an alliance between two institutions in Brussels, the Institute for European Studies and Vesalius College. Brussels School of Governance, or BSOG, as you may have heard me refer to it throughout this presentation, offers an interdisciplinary curriculum with an international perspective. All courses are taught in English, and the European Credits Transfer System is used. Most assignments and exams are graded on a 20-point scale, or occasionally as pass or fail. A score of 10 out of 20 is considered passing, as students will retain credit for a course if a 10 out of 20 is their overall grade. Although we do encourage ISEP students to strive for a course grade of at least 12 out of 20. Lastly, please note that a grade of 20 out of 20 is rarely given. For our institutions in the Netherlands, grades are often given on a scale of 1 through 10. Grades between 1 through 3 and 9 through 10 are rarely given, and grades between 6 and 9 are considered passing. Here are our tips for studying for success. Because of the focus on individualized learning, students should take responsibility for their studies and be proactive when asking for help. Develop your own plan for studies, not only for the courses you take, but also how you'll prepare to participate in each class meeting. Study and complete course assignments on time. Know that in the Netherlands, relationships between professors and students can be more casual or relaxed. So don't feel intimidated to speak up in class or ask your professors questions about the subject or if you need help. Here are some more tips for interacting with your professors. It's always a good idea to introduce yourself to your professors during the first week of classes and explain that you are an international student. If your professor offers office hours, please use them. Address academic expectations with your professors at the beginning of the semester in order to avoid any confusion on assignments and exams later on. Proactively reach out to professors and possibly your classmates if you have questions or need extra help. Also, write to your host ISEP coordinator or an academic advisor for general questions or if you're having trouble contacting a particular professor. As an additional note, if special arrangements are made with you and your professors, like taking final exams at an earlier time, please be sure to get them in writing or email to avoid any issues at the end of the semester. Regarding campus life, it may seem intimidating to talk to or meet new people around your host campus, but European students are actually quite kind. So if you're lost and need help locating a classroom or a building, don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask your host coordinators if there's a buddy system offered on your campus, where you can be paired with a local student who can help show you around campus or let you know about upcoming student and social events. Again, involved with sports clubs, student organizations, and other extracurricular activities off campus, like volunteering or attending local festivals or cultural events. All of these provide wonderful opportunities to make new friends while abroad. Now on to discuss our health and safety guidelines. As a reminder, all ISEP students must enroll in our ISEP Health and Safety Program, including health insurance via our provider, CISI. Our health insurance plans through CISI also offer AXA assistance, which offers 24/7 support with travel assistance, evacuation, and repatriation insurance. I strongly recommend you review the full ISEP Health and Safety presentation, which you will receive by email. Please also save the number for our ISEP emergency hotline. The country code is +1. Then the number is 301-681-2388. If you need to get in touch with ISEP for support in health and safety emergencies, you can call our emergency hotline where you'll be put in touch with an on-call ISEP team member available 24/7, 365 days of the year. Note that the ISEP Health and Safety Program covers students outside of their home country within the dates of enrollment listed on your ID card, which you can find in your ISEP dashboard. More information about local healthcare resources can also be found in the Health and Safety section of your ISEP dashboard and will be covered during the on-site orientation at your host university. Please also carefully review your CISI policy brochure and download the My CISI app on your phone. Also, as a reminder, the European Emergency Services number is 1112. You can use this number in both Belgium and the Netherlands. Here's what's expected of you during your time abroad. First, be aware of common hazards. Natural disasters like flooding, severe storms, and heat waves. Physical hazards like drowning or extreme temperatures, hot and cold. Also be aware of environmental hazards like any bites or stings or infectious illnesses prevalent in your host region, and then also social hazards like civil unrest. Please take responsibility for your personal safety while abroad. Please avoid protests and strikes that occur in your host region of Belgium and the Netherlands. And also don't attend any strikes or protests. Even when intended to be peaceful, these demonstrations can often turn rowdy or violent, and they're just not ideal for international students, especially to be involved in. Pay attention to security warnings. Please blend in and follow all local social customs and norms. Practice safe and responsible use of alcohol if you choose to drink, and also be aware of your surroundings. Especially try to travel in pairs or small groups rather than alone, especially at night. You can also ask your host coordinator what's the best way to travel around your host region at night or other parts of the day. Also ask them about any unsafe neighborhoods that you should also avoid during your time. Again, don't attend protests, strikes, rallies, etc. Mind your pockets. Keep track of your personal belongings like wallets and other items that you would want to keep safe. And if you sense a potentially dangerous situation, please remove yourself immediately. Look to your ISUP host coordinators, local students, and others in your host region for information about safety around your host campus and while traveling. Especially pay attention to the information that is shared with you during your on-site orientation. Here's what to do in an emergency situation. Please be sure to follow local media and law enforcement instructions given in large-scale events. If necessary, seek immediate attention from local emergency services. Again, the emergency services number for Europe is 112. To go over your best points of contact during your time abroad, during a health and safety emergency as well, first note that you can find the contact numbers and information for local police and emergency responders in your host country and for your host coordinators in your ISUP student portal in the Health and Safety Information section. If you're experiencing a health and safety emergency in your host country and you need help, first, please contact local police or emergency responders. Your next line of support is your host university coordinator, who can also support you through any immediate concerns or emergencies. Again, during large-scale events, you may mark yourself as safe through the check-in feature available in the MyCISI portal and mobile app. Lastly, if you need to get in touch with ISUP for support in health and safety emergencies, you can call our emergency hotline number, where you'll be put in contact with an on-call ISUP team member available 24/7. Please feel free to screenshot this slide or write the number on the slide that appears below. Remember, this ISUP hotline is for emergency situations, not general questions or inquiries about your program after hours when you can't get in touch with your student services officer. So please avoid calling the ISUP hotline number when you are not experiencing a health and safety emergency. Lastly, be sure to respond to all ISUP communications, particularly check-in messages from your ISUP student services officer via email and your home and host university coordinators. Here are a few more things to know before you go. For packing tips, apparel needs will depend on your personal preferences and host city weather and culture, so please be sure to ask your host coordinators about what to expect. If you are very particular about your preferred toiletries, I recommend bringing enough to last the duration of your program. But note that you can find lots of products from around the world in stores, shopping outlets, and even pharmacies across Belgium and the Netherlands. For any prescription or over-the-counter medication that you take on a regular basis, please do some research on their availability and legality in your host country. If you take prescription meds, please bring enough to last you your entire overseas stay and keep written copies of your prescriptions in case you'll need a refill. Your healthcare provider in your home country can also include notes about any medications you're allergic to. If you have favorite over-the-counter medications, you may be able to find them in your host country with some research beforehand. But if not, consider bringing a lasting supply. All medications should be stored in your carry-on luggage, not your checked luggage, in their original packaging when traveling. With medications and toiletries, also verify if they contain any common substances that are banned in your host country. Think about the items you'll bring with you, like your laptop, tablets, cell phones, and any other electrical devices, and whether it has the right plugs or voltage for outlets in your host country. You may want to research and pack a few adapters in your luggage beforehand. The pre-departure tab in your ISUP portal may include more information and ideas on items to pack. Be sure to check if there are any items such as bed sheets, towels, or others that you may need to bring with you. Be sure to also review these resources before you go. Your Belgium and Netherlands country handbooks are useful for information on their visa application processes, education system, and daily life in the two countries. Your ISUP acceptance package will also contain important information about your program, including your official program arrival date and housing information. Be sure to also review the Your Pre-Departure Information and the Health and Safety Information tabs in your ISUP student dashboard. The Before You Go page on our website contains useful travel information like purchasing flights, tips on planning trip finances, and guidance on bringing medications with you to your host country. The While You Are Abroad page on our website gives useful information on how to cope with culture shock, shares our diversity, inclusion, and accessibility abroad resources, and health and safety and risk management guidance as well. Also, be sure to check for special announcements from your host coordinators in your email inbox and spam folders. For the final section of today's presentation, here's a reminder to keep in touch. Before you leave your home country, figure out how you will stay in touch with family and friends back home, whether it's through texting, video calling, social media, and anything else. Don't forget to message your family also to let them know once you've arrived safely to your host city. We'd also love to follow your adventures while you're abroad, so if you share any photos, videos, Instagram Reels, TikToks, and more of your experiences, please feel free to tag us and use and your home and host institutions, as we'd love to share your posts with our audiences. Also, be sure to follow us and tag us on Instagram and TikTok at our handles ISUP Study Abroad. There's also a Facebook group for ISUP students, whether you're accepted, you're currently on program, or you're an alumni of an ISUP program. And you may also find us on LinkedIn. Besides sharing on social media, there are also opportunities to contribute to our ISUP blog and participate in events like our current student panels. So if opportunities like this interest you, please be on the lookout for invitations from ISUP or reach out to your ISUP Student Services Officer to indicate your interest. And if you're not very active on social media, your student services officers would still love to hear from you to hear how things are going so far in your program. So don't be afraid to check in, even if it's for a quick email. And that concludes our pre-departure orientation for Belgium and the Netherlands. We wish everyone safe travels and be sure to check your ISUP dashboard for more information on your student services officer and their contact information. Take care and stay in touch.